Well, welcome to our study of Philemon. This epistle is named after the recipient of the letter. The root meaning of Philemon's name indicates a concept of friendship. This is the shortest of Paul's epistles. Philemon seems to be an elder or other significant church leader of the church in Colossae. Paul addresses him as a fellow worker, which is a clear indication of his dedication to the ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Philemon, a church leader in the area, no doubt also hosts a church in his home at various times. Paul was not one to give out compliments, but he certainly is complimentary of Philemon, a fellow worker, one who was dedicated to ministry, one who refreshed Paul and brought a smile to his face. Paul, again, did not send out accolades without validity. It is credible to understand that Apphia was the wife of Philemon, and Archippus was probably an elder son. Much can be gleaned about Philemon from this epistle. He was a man of godly character and strong faith. Although he owned slaves, as did most of wealthy Romans in that day and really throughout history, he treated them with Christian kindness. He was a generous man who was ready to help others. He hosted the church in his home, which was large enough to accommodate meetings and traveling preachers. He was probably introduced to Christ by Paul. He showed hospitality to others. Paul thought of Philemon in such a way that it refreshed his soul and restored his spiritual strength. As far as the date of this epistle, the epistle to Philemon, is directly connected to the dating of the epistle to the Colossians, since these two letters, as well as Ephesians, were delivered by the same couriers. Colossians 4, Philemon 12, and Ephesians chapter 6, verses 21 and 22. Paul had written this epistle during his imprisonment in Rome. Paul was imprisoned for a 2-year period while he awaited the defense from his appeal to Rome against the Judaizers. As far as the recipients, well, the major recipient of this epistle is Philemon, but there is a larger audience, which is his family and the church that met in their home. Paul had composed this letter while in prison, and no doubt probably prison in Rome. Philemon lived in a region of the city of Colossae. Colossae was a Phrygian city that was on the main road from the eastern travel route to the city of Ephesus. Colossae seems to have had a very significant industry of wool and textiles. It was the crossroads of business, of culture, of trade, and of ideas. How do you read Philemon? Imagine that you are a wealthy landowner and businessman in a thriving region of Colossae. You are on the trade route where you engage people from around the world. You engage them in business. You engage them with ideas. Your business has grown over the years, and now you are expanding your trade throughout the Roman Empire. You have several servants, yes, slaves, who administrate different aspects of your business. These are qualified people. They function as right-hand business partners almost at times as they carry out significant and great financial transactions for you. You have sent one of your slaves by the name of Onesimus on a very important commercial trip to complete some transactions for you. This is a very important trip since Onesimus has been entrusted with much of your money. As time passes, you learn that Onesimus has not arrived at his destination to complete the financial deal. You begin to hear reports of Onesimus living it up on your money and traveling about the major cities of Rome. You finally hear a report that he may even be in prison in the city of Rome. This has caused you a great financial loss, since the business deal has fallen through and your investment is now probably gone. You wonder, how can you recover from this setback? You look up one day and you see Onesimus coming to you with a group of Christian leaders, which includes Tychicus. You are handed a letter by Tychicus from the Apostle Paul. You are angry with Onesimus and want to judge him. You can see a change in his demeanor, and you have been asked to read the letter, and even read the letter publicly in front of your family and your church. You have been told that Onesimus has become a Christian. You and all the church are concerned about Paul, since you knew he has been in prison. You read this epistle so that you might know of Paul's condition and how to pray for him. You wonder what Paul has to say about Onesimus and what advice he might have for you in this situation. Yes, you've been put on the spot, the spiritual spot, the financial spot, by the Apostle Paul, your spiritual father, your mentor. Key verses are found in verses 15 through 17. Paul writes to Philemon, "For perhaps he, Onesimus, was for this reason separated from you, Philemon, for a while, that you might have him back forever, no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a beloved brother, especially beloved brother to me. But how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord? Philemon, if you regard me a partner, accept Onesimus as you would accept me." Wow, what a swallow Philemon would have to take right then to understand the great step of reconciliation and forgiveness that the Apostle Paul was calling him to embrace. What is the main argument? Well, I suggest the main argument is Paul requests that Philemon should accept Onesimus as he would accept Paul himself, and charge whatever debt Onesimus owed to Philemon to Paul's account. Philemon, absorb the financial loss for the cause of Christ because of the relationship that you and I have together. As far as purposes, I think there are two main purposes. First, to encourage Philemon to accept Onesimus and charge his debt to Paul's account in light of their salvation. And then secondly, to ask Philemon to prepare lodging for Paul when he comes to visit. There are many themes in this short epistle: love from the heart, the importance of faith, fellowship, which is partnership, reconciliation, the goodness of one's spiritual life, Christian brotherhood, prisoner and imprisonment, Christ as Lord, and the refreshment that Philemon brings to the heart of Paul. This little letter can be divided into 6 sections. Verses 1 through 3, Paul greets the saints assembling in Philemon's home. Verses 4 through 7, Paul gives thanks to God and praises Philemon, his character, his love, and his faith. Verses 8 through 17, Paul appeals to Philemon to be reconciled to Onesimus as a Christian brother in view of the conversion of Onesimus. He who was useless is now useful again. Verses 18 through 21, Paul pledges to repay Philemon for any loss incurred because of Onesimus. Verse 22, Paul requests that a place be prepared for him, as he hoped that his appeal to Rome and his verdict would be favorable so as to allow him to travel again. And then verses 23 through 25, Paul closes the letter with final greetings to Onesimus and to the church. Yes, the Apostle Paul says to Philemon, I need you to take a big spiritual swallow. I want you to accept Onesimus as you would accept me. I want you to charge his great debt to my account. I want you to be reconciled, not just as if he is a brother, but as you would accept and be reconciled with me.